in Elkhorn, Wisconsin will be allowed to take to the dance floor again. The Elkhorn School District issued a dancing ban last week pending clarification of a state law. It required school personnel to report sexual contact between its students. School administrators feared that kissing or slow dancing embraces would be held illegal. But the Elkhorn dance ban was lifted when a county judge decided Monday that such activities were not covered by the law.
Today we continue a three-question poll of channel...
Any kind of touch dancing, dirty dancing? That was the question facing a Wisconsin school district when a judge issued a narrow definition of public displays of affection. Jeff Locke explains.
This is what all the fuss is about.
You just take this hand and it's like this. That's the slow dance.
The fuss is, or was, about dancing. This is what it looked like on prom night. But at Elkhorn High in Wisconsin, last Friday was the day the music died.
We were told or led to believe that chest-to-chest type dancing among students conceivably could be, hands on buttocks could be, kissing could be considered illegal sexual contact.
And reportable to state authorities, according to a state law that says sexual contact between students under age 16 must be reported. We're just really good friends. School authorities say a county judge told them they'd have to report so-called PDAs, public displays of affection.
The specific instances they were talking about is things that seem to be quite normal behavior of students and young adults in our society.
So, until they could get a clarification, the school decided to ban school dances.
Dancing is just a social event that has happened for centuries, and frankly, I just don't understand what's going on here.
Look at back in old days. People touch each other when they're dancing.
I don't think you should be, like, mauling all over them, but, you know, casual touch in the butt or nothing isn't going to hurt.
Apparently, court officials now agree. The judge who brought up the subject with the school says he was misunderstood. Dancing is okay, he says. School concurs.
I certainly don't support a ban on school dances.
The students concur, too, even the exchange students.
If this country is supposed to be a liberated one, you can act in the way that you feel. You can hold your girlfriend's hand. As one pointed out,
and if they take away the dances, then I feel that people are just going to go out and they have nothing else to do. And they'll just go out and have sex anyways.
The gymnasium here at Elkhorn High is once again safe for basketball and dancing. But what has transpired here in the last several days is perhaps testimony to just how sensitive this nation has become in light of recent events to anything having to do with sex. I'm Jeff Locke, CNN, Elkhorn, Wisconsin.
Coming up next in Dollars and Cents.
Slow dancing cheek to cheek at the senior prom. It's the dream of many high school students, but the dream was threatened this past week in Elkhorn. Good evening. Officials in Walworth County were afraid that intimacy on the dance floor might be illegal. Now, if that sounds like a script for a movie, it is. Noreen Lauer has the story.
It happened in the movie Footloose, high school dancing deemed illegal. And for the past week, it looked like that script might be played out in real life at Elkhorn High School.
We were worried about the prom and snowball and all that. But it's actually, we're relieved it's over with. We were kind of getting a little riled up because we're no more dances no more or anything, you know.
The story began when a judge here in Walworth County put together a task force to take a look at the issue of child abuse and neglect. During the course of those task force discussions, somebody asked if touching, the kind of touching that you might see at a high school dance, for example, would constitute sexual abuse. Technically, the answer was yes, and technically, school personnel would be legally required to report it. From there, the misinterpretations just snowballed. School administrators temporarily canceled all dances for fear they'd be held liable if kids got too close, and students were left wondering how far it would go.
You'd walk down the hall and someone would come up and tap you on the shoulder and say hi, and it's like, am I going to get in trouble?
Students threatened to walk out of classes tomorrow. So today, the principal and school superintendent met with a circuit court judge for clarification.
I expect that kids will dance close, slow dance. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong whatsoever.
So at Elkhorn High School, the dance is back.
We now have clarification, and we'll go on with life as usual again.
For students, that means dancing this Friday night, just like in the movies. Let's dance! Noreen Lauer, News Channel 4.
The judge says the only time that sexual contact between teenagers is illegal is if one of the two is not consenting and if it is blatantly done for sexual gratification. Dancing cheek to cheek is not illegal.
Dancing controversy at Elkhorn Area High School is over.
School administrators there were afraid that students kissing and slow dancing might be violating state law. But Stacy Hoffman reports as of tonight, the confusion is cleared up and the school dances are back on.
For a while, these Elkhorn Area High School students thought last month's homecoming dance might be the last at their school. The school staff was afraid the way students dance violated a state sexual contact law. But the students say their dancing isn't dirty.
You just, like, get in a group, like a circle or something, you know, and just dance by, you know, singly, or they're slow dancing too, but I haven't seen anything that's really sexual.
State law requires schools to report sexual contact between students aged 15 and under. The administration was afraid sexual contact included dancing and kissing.
At that time, we couldn't jeopardize students or faculty and temporarily put a halt to school dances until we can get some clarification on the issue.
Judge Robert Kennedy provided the clarification. He says as far as the law is concerned, dances aren't necessarily dirty.
It's got to be sexual contact, and that means it's got to be an intimate part of the body that's being touched.
The students are now back to planning a snowball, the annual winter dance, knowing it's not against the law to dance with their one and only. Stacy Hoffman, TV6 News, Elkhorn.
So the dance, the snowball, is now set for the end of January, but the school may run other dances before then. Coming up.
Dance floor. It's created quite a stir in the town of Elkhorn.
Started with concerns over what counts and what doesn't as sexual assault against teenagers. As Kathy Michaelby reports, it ends up sounding like something out of a movie.
In the movie Footloose, students fought a law against dancing. In Elkhorn's version, the school is not against dances.
The kids dance holding each other's backsides. They dance that way in Elkhorn, and they dance that way in Denver, and they dance that way in Nome, Alaska.
Sort of sounds like scenes from yet another movie. In Elkhorn, school officials reluctantly called off dances based on what they heard from a local judge. On illegal sexual conduct, teachers must report to authorities by state law.
We were told if kissing occurred, or if chest-to-chest dancing occurred, or if hands on a student's buttocks, that conceivably could consider sexual contact, illegal sexual contact.
Everyone's upset.
It's the talk of the school and hardly a laughing matter to some.
They're going to turn away the kids that really do have problems.
If this isn't settled soon, there are some students here who say they are not going to take this sitting down.
I'm going to go to Judge Kennedy's office and do a dance on his desk.
Amid talk of a walkout, the judge and the school announced a misunderstanding had been cleared up. Here's the ruling.
If they don't think the touching was intentional, they shouldn't report it. If it wasn't intimate parts involved, they shouldn't report it.
So as in the movies, the dancing will go on. Kathy Michaelby, Channel 12 News, Elkhorn.
Now, about the dance that was canceled last Friday, I guess it's going to be rescheduled, and the winter snowball will go on as planned.
The teachers would always have to be watching us no matter what was happening, if we were holding hands with someone or gave someone a hug.
It bans school dances in fear of excessive sexual touching and the burden it would create. Reporter Dennis Ferrier lays out a strange sequence of events that turned about face in one day.
The news spread at Elkhorn High School as fast as the anger. School dances are banned. And you better watch who you touch and where, because it will be reported.
How can somebody tell somebody else what's right and wrong about how they feel about another person? And if you can't, there's no way you could report every single thing a person does. And people are just friends, and you're just friends with other people, and you do things to be friendly. I mean, it's not the idea of promiscuity at all.
Slow dancing, hands in the back pocket, and like touching someone's buttocks or something.
The dances wasn't as big an issue as it felt like the teachers would always have to be watching us no matter what was happening. If we were holding hands with someone or gave someone a hug, that would have to be reported. The school people say they had no choice. They say this man didn't give them one. After meeting with the Honorable Robert Kennedy last week, it was clear that any kind of touching could be sexual abuse or sexual assault. And by law, they would have to report it. Judge Kennedy says no. What's clear is that the school people didn't understand him or the law.
That's absolutely wrong. There's got to be the touching of an intimate part. And that, by definition, the vaginal area, the breast, the anus, etc., there are certain intimate parts that are well understood among almost all people. If there's the touching, for instance, of the buttocks, but it's by a boyfriend, girlfriend who are walking down the street, then it's companionship and it's not necessarily sexual arousal that's involved.
By late afternoon, the school people and the judge tried it again. It turns out the students will have dances again. What's still unclear is what should be reported.
That's an issue we still have to deal with either internally or a way to resolve those kind of things. But the big issue is credibility with students. How could they trust us if first thing out of the door we got to report them for an investigation?
This whole problem surrounds a state law. Elkhorn is the only place it's an issue. You can take that two ways. The people here have either identified a hidden problem or just created one. Dennis Ferrier for the 9 o'clock Nightly News.